Welcome everyone to the English podcast session. I'm John with my co-host Amelia.
Hi, I'm Amelia. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we'll be discussing a question many language learners ask: how can you build your English vocabulary faster?
Learning new words can feel overwhelming, but with the right methods it becomes much easier and even fun. So Amelia, why don't we start with some strategies?
Sounds great. Stick around until the end. We'll also share 5 important intermediate vocabulary terms and a short story to help reinforce what you've learned.
Let's dive in with the first tip. Consistency is key. Think of vocabulary like a garden. If you water it a little every day, it'll flourish. If you ignore it, the garden, or your vocabulary, starts to wither.
Exactly. Many people try to cram hundreds of words at once, but that's not effective. Instead, aim for just 5 new words a day. By the end of the month, that's around 150 new words.
And it's not just about learning words but about revisiting them. The more you see or hear a word, the more likely you are to remember it.
One tool that really helps with consistent practice is flashcards. They're simple, but flashcards work because they allow you to review vocabulary repeatedly.
Yes, especially if you use apps like Anki or Quizlet. These use a technique called spaced repetition, which means the app shows you words just before you're likely to forget them.
Right. And that just-in-time review helps your brain hold on to the vocabulary. Plus, you can create flashcards based on real-life situations, like words you encounter at work or in your favorite shows.
Absolutely. And by creating your own flashcards, you're actively engaging with the language, which makes the learning stick even more. Alright, let's take a quick break to dive into 5 intermediate English vocabulary terms. Amelia, you want to start?
Sure thing. Our first word is ambiguous. It means something that has more than one possible meaning or is unclear. Example: the instructions were ambiguous, so we weren't sure what to do. Convey. This means to communicate or express something. Example: she used art to convey her emotions. Compromise. It's when 2 sides reach an agreement by each giving up a little. Example: they had to compromise to solve the issue. Influence. This means to affect or change someone or something. Example: her speech had a strong influence on the audience. Last but not least, significant, which means something important or noteworthy. For example, winning the award was a significant moment in his career.
Now, let's talk about another great method. Read and listen to as much English as you can. When you read, you're exposed to words in context, which makes it easier to understand and remember them.
And don't limit yourself to just books. Try news articles, blog posts, or even social media. Each of these sources gives you different vocabulary based on the topic.
Podcasts and audiobooks are excellent, too. Listening helps you pick up pronunciation and get used to the flow of English.
Exactly. If you're struggling to understand everything, try listening at a slower speed or look for podcasts made for English learners.
Good point. And remember, it's okay if you don't understand every single word. Over time, you'll get a feel for common vocabulary and phrases.
Another powerful tip is to learn words in phrases, not just by themselves. For example, instead of just learning the word appreciate, learn it in a phrase like "I really appreciate your help."
Yes, phrases give context, and context makes words easier to remember and use. Plus, you're more likely to sound natural when you speak English.
Also, many English words have multiple meanings, so learning them in context helps you understand how they're actually used.
Absolutely. And don't worry if it feels slow at first. This method is all about quality over quantity.
Lastly, use the new words you're learning. Speak them out loud, write sentences, or use them in conversations. The more you practice, the more comfortable you'll become.
Yes, find a language partner or join online communities where you can practice. Even if you're just talking to yourself, using the words helps lock them into your memory.
Another trick is to describe your daily life using new vocabulary. Like instead of saying "I had a busy day," you could say "I had a hectic day."
Exactly. By doing this, you're not just passively learning, you're actively incorporating the words into your everyday language. Alright, let's wrap things up with a short story to illustrate today's topic.
Imagine this: Sarah is a student who wants to expand her English vocabulary quickly. She starts by learning 5 new words a day and reviews them every morning using a flashcard app. To reinforce these words, she reads a short article each evening and listens to podcasts during her commute. As Sarah practices, she starts learning words in context and uses phrases like "I appreciate your effort" instead of just "appreciate." Every week, she writes a few sentences using her new vocabulary, even if it's just in a journal. After a few months, Sarah notices a huge improvement. Not only is she learning new words, but she's using them naturally in conversations. This builds her confidence, and she's thrilled with how much faster she's progressing. And that's the key, really. Building your vocabulary doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent, active practice, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can improve.
Thank you all for joining us today. We hope you found these tips useful.
Yes, keep practicing and stay consistent. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and let us know your thoughts.
And remember, the journey of learning English is a marathon, not a sprint. Until next time, keep building that vocabulary, one word at a time.